And now, another episode of MMA Gossip with your boys.
Boom. We're live, baby. MMA Gossip episode number 53. We are back in your life. All three of us just woke up from our naps since the main event last week put us to sleep, Gone and Rosenstruik. But we are firing because we got 5 belts in play this weekend, 3 on the line. UFC 259, Blachowicz Adesanya, Nunes, Megan Anderson, and Jan, again, spelled differently. And our boy, friend of the podcast, met him in person, Aljamain Sterling, the man. So we have 5 of these in play this weekend, boys. I'm fucking fired up. I know you guys are fired up. The whole world's fired up. Let's get our YouTube fired up, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the whole fucking 9. At MMA X Gossip across the board. We'll be making our picks yet again this week, displaying the records yet again this week. I have them on my Mac. Just got to update those. I was the champ last year. And I think I'm holding down last place pretty nicely. I don't know about picks, but everything else, I'm definitely in last fucking place. I'm a loser. But follow Mike, tell Mike, because he's always right. So if you want 300 locks, ask Matt. If you want picks, ask Mike.
Mike, it's so funny too because Mike was the originator of that and nobody said anything.
Also, full disclosure, did not happen on the podcast, did not post on Instagram, but through our chat, Matt's like, I can't wait for my underdog to knock out your lock. My lock was gone. His was Rosenstruck. Who did he end up putting in his lock? Cyril Gane.
Mine is 275, Cyril Gane.
Also, Matt had Poopy Kevin Kroom as his underdog. I was like, Matt, switch that now to Thiago Moises. And what happened?
All right, but that was fair. Like, Caceres is terrible. And on such a thin card, I was just like, all right, I'll throw a dart at a dartboard.
Last time Matt said my underdog and lock were horrible picks, I switched both of them. Both of my originals won, and both the ones Matt told me to pick lost.
What card was that?
I remember it was Marcin Tybura, and
it was definitely it was when he fought. What's his name, dude? It was Greg Hardy.
Was that what it was? And you told me that we fucked together. I'm like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, it was Tybura and Greg Hardy because I was all over Hardy for like a month, and then he literally had an asthma attack. You
said that you told everyone you knew to bet on Greg Hardy.
Yeah, everybody, dude. I didn't go to Sabs for a week after that.
Oh man. It's funny because he was like winning and then he just went, couldn't breathe anymore. It was over.
Yeah.
So
anyways, boys. So what should we do, Mike? You're take us through. We going over last week. Is it even worth it?
No, I don't think it's worth it, except for I want to give a little shout out to how awesome Ronnie Lawrence looked. I know he didn't fight anybody legit, but I mean, like, dude, Dana White was high on him before the fight. Now everybody's high on him. I'm excited for him. Pedro Munoz with a good win over Jimmy Rivera. We were all on that, so good shit there. And I guess I have one question for you guys before we migrate to this Saturday's card. I wrote it down earlier in the week. So Gane's performance has been pretty criticized, justified or blown out of proportion?
I think it's completely justified for the exact same reason Dana said. You see what Ngannou did to Rosenstruik, and then you see what Jan did to him, and it's like, if you want to fight for the belt one day, I have to mute Discord. If you want to fight for the belt one day, you need to make an impression, especially in a division like heavyweight that's known for its knockouts. That was like a point fight. It got very boring, very quick. And I said this before the fight that he is yet to impress me, and I stand by that statement. I am not impressed. I think he fights to not lose, not to win.
Yeah, you made him your lock.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's a double-edged sword. Like, I feel like everyone's giving Gane the heat, I guess, because he was such a big favorite, but Rosenstruik did literally nothing. But at the end of the day, like, Rosenstruik put up a video and was like, horrible performance, blah, blah, blah. His face looked untouched. Like, he looked, if you showed me that picture, I would think he was doing a pre-fight interview. You know what I mean? And he just did a 25-minute heavyweight fight in the UFC and looked untouched. So I thought that was a sleeper all over the place. I tweeted during the fight, like the 4th round, Lewis Ngannou 2 as like a joke, meaning like this reminds me of that. And people were commenting on it like, yeah, dude, I could totally see that fight happening after this. I'm like, Bro, that's not what I meant. You know what I mean? Like, and then some people got it. One kid tweeted at me and goes, "No way, man! This is way more entertaining." And then replied at the end of the 5th round and goes, "Maybe not."
Did he reply to himself and like correct his
Yeah, he
own
replied to his own tweet. I was dying.
without
And then
using
some other kid, another kid said, he's like, that's absurd, dude. Like, they're striking this, blah, blah, blah. I looked, he had like 14 followers. So I was like, okay, I'm not responding. And he deleted the tweet.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I am the official Twitter champ.
All right.
But no, that's why it's brutal.
After a pretty snooze fest, I'm pumped. I had manager Lisa. I had like a date night with her, so I couldn't really watch the fights. And what a perfect night to miss the fights. So,
Lucky you.
yeah. On to this week, though. Obviously, it is immensely stacked. Let's just take a really quick look at it, guys. I'm just going to flip the screen.
Also, while Mike's flipping, Canelo, like we said last week on the show, was going to pull it out. Brutal KO, or not brutal KO, brutal knockdown. Yildirim's arm is behind. You know, when you fall like that, like you lost all your senses. It's a 3-round beat down. Avni's corner at the end of the 3rd round said, "We're not going to let you go back out for another round after this if it looks like that." And he didn't even get up off the stool at the end of the 3rd round. It was just, that's why mandatories in boxing, I was ranting about that last podcast. It's like Avni Yildirim was Canelo Alvarez's mandatory challenger for the belt, coming off a loss, has not fought in 2 years. How? That's like saying the number 1 contender. It's, you know what I mean? That would be like Ngannou not fight, or in this case, say Izzy, not fighting for 2 years, coming off a loss, moving up to heavyweight, fighting for the belt. Or light heavyweight, rather. Insane. So props to Canelo. He'll be fighting Billy Joe Saunders. I'm not sure of the exact date, sometime in May, I believe. That's going to be an epic fight because Billy Joe is 30-0, never lost. So undefeated versus Canelo, obviously only lost to Mayweather when he was super young and super sucked down. That's going to be a banger. I'm sure Canelo will probably be a pretty nice favorite and will win that fight. Billy Joe's got 30 wins. I think only like, it's either he has 14 or like 16 stoppages, and Canelo's, you know, he's going to put that record to the test. That's for sure. But also, shout out to Florida because they did it in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. That shit was packed. Awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Texas as well.
I was just going to say that, dude.
Opening their restrictions and whatnot. You know, I mean, hopefully other states follow suit.
Yo, I'll tell you when New Jersey follows suit right now. Right before summer, Murphy's going to leave a nice, lasting imprint of good faith right before he's up for re-election this fall. So at least we know we'll get a good summer.
Yep.
Love the prediction, Matt. Put money on it.
No, because then it won't happen.
Everything is intertwined to whether or not Matt places the bet or not.
Yep.
So this week we got a ridiculous card. We got,
bro, we're going to have to
bottom.
touch on every fight pretty much.
So Trevin Jones, Batista, nothing really to see there. Medic and Alan Cruz, really not much to see there. Not much to see in this fight either with Levana Souza and Amanda Lemos, except for the fact that Lavina opened at a monstrous favorite. I'm not sure the exact Chris, you said do you know what she opened?
I texted you, whatever it was last night. I think she opened like minus, like absurd, dude. Absurd. It was like minus 265. And now she's plus 190 or some shit like that. I could be tripping, but I remember it being absurd.
So she opened at minus 215.
Go all the way left. Go all the way left. See where she's plus 190? Click on the plus 190. No, all the way on the left where her name is.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, click that. Oh, it was minus 215. Okay, regardless, to plus 190.
So what do you think drove that?
So
the fact that Lemos should have been the favorite the whole fucking time?
Yeah, I think the odds makers had a real big blooper there, you know, so whatever. Not much to see there. I'm picking Lemos to win. I'm pretty sure everybody else is. Here we go. First good bout of the evening. Sean Brady going up against Jake Matthews. A lot of hype around Sean Brady. I really think the UFC likes him. A lot of people are high on him. Eddie Alvarez, Felder. And he's, if the UFC is making a matchmaking, this is perfect. I really do think Sean Brady is the perfect opponent because Jake Matthews doesn't hit hard. He doesn't finish fights. He's average everywhere. And he's a name that's been in the division for 7 years, since he was 19. Now he's 26. Crazy to believe. But he really hasn't jumped up in skill level, hasn't beaten anybody. Every time he gets that next jump up in competition, he loses by decision or gets submitted. This is the perfect spot. Perfect spot for Brady. I think he's going to sub him and establish himself into that 170-pound division. What do you think, Matt?
I completely agree. It's so funny too, because this week Mike was like, Jake Matthews is a vet of the sport. And I was like, you know what? That's very true. And I was like, let me Google him real quick, just because, doing research. And I was like, yo, he's 26. Like, to me, it's so like Max Holloway. It's the same thing. Like, it's so weird calling a guy a veteran that's 26 years old. He's been in the UFC since he's 19. He's one of those guys too that like really hasn't taken that much damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not going to call him like a busted prospect. He just never really came to his own, but he's solid competition. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went on a run at some point and beat a couple big names, just because he hasn't even hit the prime of his career yet. He's very average everywhere, not great anywhere. I think I agree with Mike here. Sean Brady, East Coast guy, by submission or decision. I don't think he'll knock him out. Jake Matthews is pretty tough, and we know where Sean Brady wants to get this fight. And he's so impressive, dude. For such a big fucking guy, he's got a really, really, really good gas tank that will hold up for all 3 rounds against a guy like Jake Matthews that also has a pretty solid gas tank. I think it's going to be a really good fight. And I said to Mike pre-podcast, I think that this fight is a sleeper for fight of the night. I think it could get wild in there between the 2 young guns.
Dude, I totally feel you. I said this. I texted you guys a week ago. Lock this pick in. Sean Brady minus 210. My fucking lock this week. There's definitely a little bit of bias in there, but I really do think he's that good. The UFC is super high on this kid. Eddie Alvarez, Paul Felder will swear for and by him. They say he's a beast. He's choking out everyone in the gym, like dropping people in the gym. He's just a savage. Eddie Alvarez. So if you watch The Champ and the Tramp, which is actually Frankie Edgar's podcast, they had him on as a guest. I watched that, probably about a month ago when he was on, and Eddie swore by him so much. Eddie was already gone. Eddie was in ONE FC, called up Dana while he was with Sean Brady. He's like, he's like, Dana, I fucking promise, dude. And Sean says he owes Eddie everything because Dana gave him the chance and he fucking cashed in on it. And here he is. I think he's like 13-0. And I think that this is perfect matchmaking for him, working his way up the ladder, slowly but surely getting up there and getting by a guy like Jake Matthews, who is a veteran. He's fought guys like Anthony Rocco Martin, Kevin Lee. I think he just beat up Diego Sanchez, so he's got some real experience. So I think that going in there, Sean Brady could go in there and just basically take that from him, if that makes sense. And I think he's going to go in there and do just that.
Yeah. Well said, guys. So that's pretty much going to be our lock, which means he's probably going to lose. Carlos Ulberg, city kickboxing prospect, going up against Kennedy. Cannot pronounce his last name, but he'll probably be released from the company after he loses his fight. Thoughts on this, guys? Really not much to say here.
You said it all, dude. I am so low on Kennedy.
Yeah, he's shot. He's never been good.
Was he a Contender Series prospect? I think he got a shot at the Contender Series, if I remember, and he's just kind of been disappointing. He looks kind of goofy. I don't know. What am I saying? He looks goofy. But yeah, Carlos Ulberg getting a shot clearly because of Izzy on this, giving a lot of those guys shine, similar to what McGregor did in Ireland. And he's a pretty sizable favorite. So let's see what he's got.
I think he's got it. Here we go. Banana Peel versus Banana Peel. Jordan Espinoza versus Tim Elliott. Who is going to slip first? Matt.
Muted. I'm gonna go with Jordan Espinoza. This is just impossible. There's no other way to put it. We know where Tim Elliott, and I use this word loosely, excels. He likes when fights get crazy. He likes wild scrambles. And I think that Jordan Espinoza is a guy that doesn't do a great job at controlling the pace of a fight. And I could see him falling into that game against Tim Elliott and being on the wrong end of a submission. But then again, Tim Elliott is almost 500 for a reason. I don't know. Don't bet on this one, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But yeah, I'm going with Tim Elliott here.
I sent my preliminary picks to you guys last night, and my dog was Tim Elliott. I think Tim Elliott is going to shine here, and he's at plus money. So I would sprinkle a bet on Tim Elliott as the dog here. He's fought his record is poopy, but he's fought significantly better competition than Jordan Espinosa. Jordan Espinosa kind of got off to a rough start, had a little bit of a mini run, and then it's been back and forth as of late. Tim Elliott, I think is 1-3 or something in his last 4 when I was looking last. But again, he's fighting much better guys, although getting submitted by some of these guys. But I think his veteran experience, they're both vets, obviously, but I think his experience and exactly what Matt said, his style of fighting is going to be the difference maker here. A little scrappier, a little wilder, better in those wild transitions, wild scrambles. And I think that's where he'll either win by submission or just get a decision.
Yeah, this is a stay away. I pick Elliott too, but I can't. I mean, like, there's a good chance that Tim Elliott goes out there and looks like shit, and then because it looks like a god killer, and there's a chance that he gets caught in a submission. Like Jordan Espinosa is one of those guys where if the fight's not going his way, he'll kind of just turn off and lose a decision or get submitted. In his last fight with David Dvorak on the stool, he was saying, "Oh, I'm flat-footed. I can't find my range." And it's like, that's not the kind of thing you want to say after the first round. Like, and then from now, he didn't make any adjustments and he lost a clear decision. It was just like very underwhelming. And I think he's got all the potential in the world, but if he doesn't have that mental aspect, I can't trust him. Kai Kara.
KKF, baby.
City Kickboxing is on the map here. Kai Kara coming off that loss to what's that guy that Brandon Moreno just beat before he fought Figgy?
Who did KKF just? Yeah, dude.
So Kai Kara coming off that loss to Brandon Royval, going up against Rogerio Bontorin. I think a lot of people are low on Kai Kara, and I get it. I am too, but I feel like this is his spot to kind of come back. I don't think Bontorin is. I'm not sure if he's even UFC caliber. But what do you guys think
on him? Because Mike, I remember when we first started the podcast, you picked him on here a couple times, Bontorin. And what fight was it that he let you down really bad?
So
Ray Borg.
Yeah, Ray Borg.
It was Ray Borg. Okay, yeah, because you took him.
But it was a cut. Like he cut Holly early in the fight.
Yeah, he beat Mike's favorite fighter.
So he
I was just gonna say that.
So he technically doesn't really have a win in the UFC. Not much to say here, right, guys?
I'm big on Kai Kara France here. I don't know why. I like him a lot. He's so good in round one. He's got great kickboxing, obviously. Look where he's coming from. But it does look like he does fade as rounds go on. He doesn't have the best gas tank, and it's hurt him in fights that, you look at the first round and a half, you're like, oh, easy, 30-27. He'll just coast the rest of this fight. All of a sudden, he lets people back in through the back door, and it's like, fuck, like here we go again. His output wanes, and hoping that doesn't happen in this fight. But if it stays standing, I take Kai Kara France's kickboxing all day, every day.
Yeah, I'm a big fade on KKF typically. Like, I think he was overhyped and underperformed, and I think here he's in a spot where he's being undervalued, and the odds are pretty tight. And I think he's, he again, I said it with Tim Elliott, but KKF has fought much better competition and has more experience. Bontorin has I think he's 2-1 in the UFC. Like Mike said, the one was the cut on Raulian Paiva, Mike's favorite fighter. And before that, he was fighting in much, much, much smaller promotions in Brazil and all over the place. And he got the win on the Contender Series, which was pretty emphatic. But since then, has not really impressed. And I think that KKF will shine.
Joe B. making his comeback here. He's an underdog going up against Askar Askarov. By the way, he's deaf.
90%.
90% deaf.
If you've been listening to this podcast, you would think that's the funniest thing in the world.
Okay, so here's the question, guys, because I don't think there really is a discrepancy. I think Joseph Benavidez is the better fighter. The question is, can he make this return after 2 destructive losses? His age is up there. His body's taking that wear and tear. Can he beat Askar Askarov? He's on a tear. Matt.
Can you let Chris go first here?
Yeah, Chris, what do you think, dude?
Why, Matt? Are you just gonna hammer Joe against Joe B?
No, you'll see. Give me a second.
Okay, I want to ride with Joe B here. I think Joe B is a better fighter. Again, I said this is the 3rd fucking fight in a row I'm saying it, but Joe B has fought literally everyone, been around forever, and I always ride with the vet on that end. But Askar has some good performances. Like when he beat Pantoja, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I did not expect that at all. He's super well-rounded. Joe B got the shit beat out of him in his last 2 fights. Dropped multiple times, a lot of damage on his body. So Askar isn't that big of a power puncher. Has very few wins by TKO on his record, but I don't know what Joe B has left in the gas tank. And he basically said, I want to win and then retire. So I don't know if he's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I kind of want to stay away, but Joe B is definitely the better fighter with more experience. And at plus money, I would ride with Joe B.
Yo, Mike, can you do me a favor and unshare your screen for a second?
Yeah.
All right.
If you're gonna send the picture of Joe B's body limp, dude, I'm gonna be so...
All right. So, Mike, when you go to share screen, what do you do next? Oh, wait, I got it, I think. Fuck, it's not working. All right. Well, what I was going to do would have been hilarious.
Take a picture of it on your phone and just hold it up to your screen.
Mike, where do you go here? You go to video settings, like on the bottom?
Share screen at the bottom, and then it gives me the option of which screen I want to share.
Oh, I think you can only do it because you're the host.
Hold on, let me give you rights real quick. I got this.
All right, word. This is my pick. This.
You better stick by whatever you fucking put up. I swear to God, if you put up a picture of Joe B unconscious and then Saturday you bet on him and you're mad that he loses, I'm coming to your house and fucking beat the shit out of you.
Hold on. I don't think I can do it, Matt.
Oh, good. I was gonna pull up the video of literally the famous picture of him getting his head squeezed off. And that was my pick. There is no way. Mike, you're right. He's definitely more talented in probably every aspect of the game, but pick him to win after the destruction I've seen of him and me 8. Will I be shocked if he wins? No, but I just don't want to bet on it.
Hey, I get it. I mean, as little analysis as you just provided, you're absolutely right, dude. Just like
that being said, Joe B's my lock.
That look on Joe B's face in the last fight was just so hard to watch. So I'm gonna pick Joe B only as a fan. That's it. I mean, I really hope he wins. I don't think Askar is really ready to beat anybody in the top 3, top 4. Like I think if he fought Pantoja again, I do think it would be a little bit of a different fight. I think Pantoja kind of blew his load in the first round. But
I'm gonna blow my load when the friggin' Coco main event starts.
And then take a sleep during the other one, and then yeah.
All right, next up. This is a great one. This is a really good low-key fight that people aren't talking about too much. It's Kyler Phillips. Big prospect going up against Song Yadong, Team Alpha Male prodigy. What do you think here, guys?
Ooh, and this is another one I said pre-podcast has potential for fight of the night. I want to go with Kyler Phillips, but I'm not even going to say what I want to say. I'm just going to look it up first before I sound all fucking racist and shit.
Before I sound racist.
I forget which. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. Yeah, so Song Yadong to me was on the opposite end of, I think, fights that he lost. I think he lost to Vera. I think he lost to Cody Stamann. I think he's on a little bit of a skid here. I thought the Vera decision was fucking horrible, and I'm all over Kyler here. I know that this is a pretty decent step in competition as opposed to the guys like Yadong's been in there with Alejandro Perez. He's been there with Stamann, Vera. And I don't know. There's something about this fight that's like, how long can you just skirt by on these decisions? I'm saying the trend breaks here by, his bias aside, hasn't lost since fucking 2016. Get that out of here. He's losing to Kyler Phillips this weekend.
My bad, dude. I think that I said it 5 times already. I'm going to say it again. I think that experience here is going to come in big. Yadong has experience. Yeah, maybe he didn't beat Marlon Vera and got the nod. Cody Stamann again. Like, that's a lot different than Gabriel Silva and Emeka Ikena-Fondu in the LFA. You know what I mean? It's a big freaking difference. But the line is pretty close. And like I said, whoever I said it with before, like he could come in here, Kyler Phillips, big prospect. UFC's pretty high on him, and he come in here and take Yadong shine. Take that fire, take those wins, take that experience. and keep moving up the rankings. I'm going to ride with Yadong. I made him one of my picks. Again, preliminary stuff could change by weigh-ins or whatever, but I'm going to ride with Yadong here. Experience. I'm huge on it.
Yeah, I'm riding that too. The experience train here. I love Kyler Phillips. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. But those really close matches, like you said, Matt, the experience he got out of those is something that Kyler has yet to get. You know, so like and Kyler is.
I'll probably change my pick. So it doesn't.
10. I just don't think Kyler, when he gets hit by Yadong's hard as hell striking for the first round and a half before he gasses, I just think that he might not be ready for it. And I think it's kind of like a rat line, Matt. I was thinking about it because I know you say that word a couple of times. I think that a lot of people are saying what you think, like, oh, Yadong definitely should have lost his last 2 fights. I'm going to go on Kyler here. But the line kind of is staying steady. So it's making me believe that, you know, maybe Vegas.
The line is sketchy. There's somebody like that is on this win streak that biased aside of what you think of his decisions. Like, I feel like he should be a bigger favorite. Like Chris said, who's Kyler Phillips fought and where? Like, I feel like the hype around him is more for like people like us, like hardcore fans. Like the average UFC fan doesn't know who the fuck Kyler Phillips is. So I don't know. It's a very weird line without much justification behind it. To me, could it be a little bit of bait? Like, oh my God, Song Yadong hasn't lost since 2016. Kyler Phillips only has 9 fights on his fucking record. Hammer Song Yadong. Like, I like to look at odds like that sometimes, like the reason behind the madness, because that's how odds makers think sometimes. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. I'm more often than not wrong. So
you're right, though. The line is weird on both sides. So matter of perspective here. Stay away, my opinion. Up next, here we go. Main event of the prelims before the pay-per-view. Dominic the Dominator Cruz going up against Casey Kenny, who is on a tear right now. Who takes this, guys? Is it young versus old? Old school versus new school? What's it going to be?
I'm going to say this right off the bat. I really don't like, and I know, and Chris is going to say it right away, I don't like how Dominic Cruz, who does so much for the UFC, I understand he's headlining a prelim, like you're headlining Big E. Is it on Big ESPN or is it ESPN Plus? All right, well, it's a little bit different, but I think just a guy of with his reputation and how much he does for the UFC, I would put him on the main card. Aside from the fight, I think Dominic Cruz should be on the main card. And I think I'm going to side with him here. I think that Casey Kenny's going to try to get this fight to the ground. I think that he's going to have a very hard time doing so. And even if he does, we all know Dominic Cruz, like he's not going to just fucking stay there. And Dominic Cruz is a good enough grappler in his own right to bear with him. I think as long as his feet hold up and he's able to keep on his bike like we all know he can do, I think he could pot shot his way to a victory here. I think this is a massive step up in competition for Casey Kenny, coming off of a win against Nathaniel Wood, who right now, I mean, who really knows about Nathaniel Wood? And before that, really not much, you know, Luis Smolkas of the world. But and then beyond that, you're going into LFA before anybody any recognition, and Brendan Royval way back when in 2018. But Dominic Cruz, I think, should take this fight. I think he is better everywhere. Again, to me, this is just an age thing. If he holds up and his plantar fasciitis holds up and he can keep up that wild, crazy movement that no one can replicate, I think he takes a decision here.
Dude, Cruz is going to win. Call out TJ. Mike said it. I thought that was the fucking funniest idea ever. Best idea. But now, I want him to win so fucking bad. I just don't know. Casey Kenny's so scrappy. His only recent loss has been to Merab, which I was actually kind of surprised by. I thought that he was kind of going to be Merab's kryptonite with good enough grappling to stop some takedowns, either gas out Merab, and he's got better striking, but I was clearly wrong. Cruz here, though, Matt said it. Matt hit the nail on the head. I really think that Cruz has such underrated grappling. Like, even when he fought Cody Garbrandt had the performance of his life. They both took each other down. That was an explosive fucking fight. Like, Cruz was hurt a lot and went the full 5 rounds, was getting, but again, dude, think about how long ago that was. What was that? 2017? That was 3.5 years ago, man. It's crazy. And then he came and fought Cejudo, and that was just, a nightmare, obviously. But I think that I really do think Cruz is so much better than Casey Kenny. It's just how healthy is Cruz? And that's the question. That's why I'm staying clear away from this. If you want to bet Cruz as a dog, I think he's worth dog money for sure. But it's so hard to bet because you're betting on the health of someone like Cruz could go in there. He's the type of guy that could go in there and throw 3 kicks and not be able to fucking walk. You know what I mean? Then his movement's limited. Casey Kenny gets a takedown, and that's all she wrote. But he really does have such good grappling, such good takedown defense. His back is on the mat, similar to Jose Aldo. His back, if it hits the mat, is only there for a fucking second before he's back up on his feet. So I can totally see him just, but I don't want to see him in there. Him commentating is so fucking good. Like, he's so good at what he does. I just think that's where I'd rather see him, especially at this point in his career. But if he could beat Casey Kenny, he's going to get a big step up in competition again. And we'll see. Honestly, coming off a title, he's right. He's coming off a title fight loss. So fuck it. Throw Cruz in there plus money. I'm definitely riding with him solely as a fan.
Me too. I'm riding with him as a fan, but I'm going to be unbiased here. I'm picking Kenny. I think, and only because of the age and the wear and tear on Cruz's body. And the one thing I really took into consideration when making this pick was I watched Casey Kenny's partially his last bout with Nathaniel Wood, but the one before that when he's fighting Haley Alatang, he's a nobody, but those kicks he was throwing were vicious. And what happened to Dominic in his last fight? He got kicked the shit out of. And I really do think that I don't know if Dominic Cruz can take these kicks for the duration of the 3 rounds, especially because he was dominating in a different era. We are in a different era right now with different fighters who've learned calf kicks, leg kicks, and Casey Kenny is crushing with the leg kicks, man. He kicks hard as hell. And a couple of those kicks from Casey Kenny can really limit Dominic's movement. And I think it might be a 3-round decision here for Casey Kenny, as much as I don't want it to be. And as much as I don't want to see Dominic Cruz's leg get cut off, that's the path I think that the fight is going to go.
So I have 2 questions for both of you guys real quick, just with what Mike said. Nathaniel Wood, his last win, remember I was super high on Nathaniel Wood, and then he came to the UFC and kind of didn't do too much. Anyway, his last fight against Nathaniel Wood, what do you take away from that more so? The fact that he went 3 hard fucking rounds, Nathaniel Wood won a pretty clear decision, and that was a hard pace at a hard pace, heavy pace. So do you take that into consideration more, or the fact that Nathaniel Wood, who hasn't looked that great, went 3 rounds with Casey Kenny?
The former.
I think so too. And then the other thing is what you said about the calf kicks. What the fuck do you guys we're not geniuses here, but they seem to be so prevalent in MMA right now, and no one can stop them. It's becoming like the leg kicking championship. Literally. I don't have no problem with it, bro. It's fucking super effective and it's working. I think it's awesome. But everyone says there's almost no way to check it, because even if you check it, you're still getting hit in the calf. It's still, your foot is wrapping around and hitting you in the calf. So it's almost unavoidable right now. I mean, I guess if you really did check one right, it could really hurt the person throwing it. But like Poirier said, his leg hurt after kicking McGregor. Who was Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera? Like, neither one of their motherfuckers' legs felt good the next day. You know what I mean? Where do you guys see it going? Do you think it's going to become more and more and more prevalent, or people are going to adapt their game plans to it, or do you think someone's going to figure out a way to fucking stop it?
I think this fight is, Mike brought up how Dominic Cruz was better at a different time. I think that you could see in this fight a solution to the problem. Can't check it. Get some fucking movement. Don't be there to be hit. Who has better movement than Dominic Cruz? And if that foot, like I said, that holds up, that could be your answer right there. He's not heavy on either leg. He's constantly moving. If he's constantly moving, what is there to hit? You might time a couple, but it's not like the heavy boxer stance that Jimmy Rivera and Conor McGregor have. That's where you see guys that have these problems, is when they're heavy on that lead foot. Guys that are moving a lot and they're switching stances more, just generally have a different stance. You don't see them with these problems. And to Chris's point, about Dustin saying oh, my leg hurt too. When, mid-fight, I catch myself doing this all the time. Oh, why did he stop throwing leg kicks? Bitch, you don't think his leg hurts just as bad as the guy he's kicking? It doesn't feel good. You're still shin on shin completely. There's a reason people, they kind of abandon. How many times are we watching fights and all of a sudden the guy just doesn't throw leg kicks anymore? Round 3, 4, he just will not throw it. That is probably why. That's your answer. Especially if it's working. You think he's going into his corners all right, his legs hurt enough. You don't have to throw it anymore. No. So I think it definitely is a double-edged sword to a point. You know, you go to the well too much, you can end up Anderson Silvaing yourself. But I think Dominic Cruz, I'm curious to see if he could avoid those leg kicks. We'll see.
Yeah, but Matt, to counter your point about the movement versus staying stoic, not stoic, but like not moving and getting kicked like Jimmy Rivera and Pedro Munoz, but Cejudo beat the shit out of Dominic, and Dominic was doing his movement there, you know. So
I think that's just Cejudo is that much better than everybody else.
true. That's also 100% true. So Chris, to answer your question, I just think that we're gonna have to turn the fighters are gonna have to kind of change their game plans into just having to do the check more. I know you're right about like it's the leg still wraps around and hits you in the calf, but I feel like there really is no other defense other than to check it and hope that he stops throwing leg kicks after that, or pursue the takedown, or I don't know, circle away from that lead kick, whatever it may be. We have to keep it in play. All these people that are saying, "Oh, make the leg kick illegal," like, are you fucking off your
But
rocker?
then where does it stop? What else do you want illegal next? Like we already
That is
hate
box either.
we already hate the 12-6 elbow rule. So,
Right. So yeah, we'll see how the fight plays out. All of us rooting for Dominic because how are you gonna not root for the WEC vet here? We'll see. We'll see. First fight of the main card. Thiago Santos coming off a really bad loss against Glover Teixeira. He looked pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. Going up against surging Alexander Rakic, who I think none of us are really particularly high on, but I am gonna pick Rakic to win here.
I'm gonna go Teixeira. My God. I'm gonna go with Santos solely because that was his first fight back off of a pretty significant injury. And let's be real, he beat the fuck out of Teixeira, gassed himself trying to finish the fight, which at that weight class is very common. And I think a lot of it just had to do with the layoff. Like I put zero stock in Rakic beating Anthony Smith. He sucks. Before that, he did go on a run against some pretty people, I guess you'd say, like Manawa, Devin Clark, Justin Ledet. So Thiago Santos, say what you want about him, but he did have a pretty solid showing against none other than John Jones, and came back from a really brutal injury. And I just really think that dude, he was the last person. Wasn't he the last person to beat the shit out of Jan too, Blachowicz?
Yeah.
He's pretty good, man. I just think his gas tank wasn't there. Maybe he didn't, get his normal camp in because of his knee. I think that's a good fight for him, and I actually like his line as a dog. And I'm probably going to sprinkle maybe like a first, second round knockout, see what the odds are. It's definitely going to be over plus 200 for the first, probably over 300 for the second. But I like him here. I've always been a fan of Santos. Let's be real. There's not that many people that kick as hard as this fucking guy. There's not many. And the only time we saw Rakic in like a dogfight was Ozdemir, and like kind of faded. And I think if Santos's gas tank could hold up, it should be fine.
I am just going to bring up the point that I am pretty sure after Santos's last fight against Glover Teixeira, you said you would never put money on him ever again in your life. But I'll put that aside because you made some pretty valid points right there. Yeah, it's going to be either the line opened. Oh, this is another one, Mike, where the line movement was absolutely insane from the beginning. Rakic was like minus 250 or some shit, and then the line swayed back to Santos's favor, which I do like. I agree with the line basically where it is now. Santos hasn't given me much to believe in after the Santos fight, like no takedown defense, where Rakic took down Anthony Smith at will, and Anthony Smith said under Rakic he felt completely undersized and like he was fighting out of his weight class. Santos is a big, thick dude, but he used to fight at 185. You know what I mean? People got to remember that. So I either see him, like, I know this is a horrible explanation, but I could either see this going one of two ways. Santos stoppage in like the second round, or Rakic winning a boring decision and me losing all hope in Thiago Santos. That's the only way I see it going. Rakic, I'm not high on at all, and the UFC was pretty high on Thiago. So honestly, I would take Thiago plus money here. You know what I mean? I think that I thought he was much more explosive. After the Teixeira fight, I was kind of significantly let down. But Teixeira's done that to prospects before, and, he'll probably do it again.
Yeah, it's a good point. When I said before I was going to be in low on Teixeira, like, oh yeah, Teixeira beat his ass, but he has been on a roll. I just think that Thiago Santos, double knee surgery, you're 37, 205 big hitters. Dude, he's 37.
Wish I knew that one.
So I got to pick Rakic to just kick his legs off. That's it.
I hope I look like that at 37.
Right. Next up, here we go. Islam.
Because I wish I knew that.
Islam finally making his return to the cage against Drew Dober. Guys, I think Islam's going to beat his fucking ass.
Fuck you, Dana. Fuck you for making this fight.
No, props to Drew Dober. I'd rather Drew Dober than fucking RDA.
Fair. Dude, I hope Dober wins so bad. I'm so high on him. And what's this, like a 2-year layoff from Makhachev?
Yeah.
Dude, I really hope Drew Dober surprises. I think he's so good. And I've talked him up on this podcast before, so I'm not going to repeat everything. I just think he's such a dark horse in this division. He's so good at basically every aspect of MMA. But what does Makhachev do that everybody from that part of the world does perfectly? Fucking grapples. And that style is just literally unstoppable the way that they do it. And the line shows that. And unfortunately, I think he's probably going to end up winning this fight. But let's hope a 2+ year layoff bites him in the ass, because I would love to see Dober get a career-changing win here.
My bad, I muted myself. But yeah, I do. We're all rooting for Dober. I don't need to fucking just reiterate exactly what Matt fucking said. It's going to be either a takedown fest, or hopefully fucking Drew Dober can pull Adriano Martins and fucking drop him with that left hand, baby. I would love to see that. That's exactly what I'll be rooting for. Drew Dober is, like, I think I've said this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, is the dark horse of the division. He's on a tear right now. He's hot. He's looking good, literally and physically. But he really has been. Oh man, I want to see Drew Dober excel so much, and if he could get a big win here and pull this off, his stock and placement in the division will skyrocket. Dana will reward him for taking this fight, winning this fight, and he'll be fighting in the top 10 in no fucking time.
I think too, given the layoff, that crazy of a line is worth a little bit of a sprinkle. You're getting more than double your money, dude. Like, why not?
Yeah, I hear you. I just think that I was watching, the Sarukian Islam Makhachev just this morning, and I was like, damn, like he looks like
good, dude. He's good.
He's unbelievable grappling. His cardio is ridiculous. I think I heard a stat. I think they were saying on the broadcast for that particular fight night that he takes like less significant strikes than any other fighter in the history of the UFC, which is, he only has like 5 or 6 fights, but still, like, that's still like a stat. And like, he's a grappler and he's got that incredible stat. It says something. So I just think he's going to win here pretty emphatically. And as much as we don't want to see Drew Dober get smothered for 3 rounds, I think that's what's going to happen.
I saw a picture online and someone said, we want McGregor Habib. And someone said, Mom, we have McGregor Habib at home. It was a picture of Makhachev and Dober.
That's awesome.
All right, baby. First title fight of 3. This is the one where we're definitely going to have discrepancies, guys. Peter Yan defending his belt against surging Aljamain Sterling. Give me your guys' opinion on why you both think Aljamain is going to win, and I'm just going to counteract it. Go ahead.
Fucking, there's a lot of fan bias here. A lot of fan bias with me here. I love Aljo. I've said for the longest time now, I don't think there's anybody on the roster that was more due of a championship fight. I know it's not his fault because it was canceled once or twice, just once in December.
Just once.
Yeah.
But it wasn't booked forever.
Yeah, it wasn't booked forever. Like, he kept having to win, and that's all he was doing, except that minor slip up against Marlon Moraes, who quickly faded. Who's been better than Sterling, and who's just in the way he's been winning? He's been finishing people. The way he finished Sandhagen was incredible. But then again, on the flip side, what is there really to hate about Yan? He has a couple weird rounds. He goes inactive at periods, in my opinion, which, I don't think it matters. As somebody that's good as him, he's just more calculated. I think can take a little bit longer to get started up. I'm really thinking here, though, that the only way Aljo wins this fight, I want to see a lot of kicks because he's the longer fighter. And I think the way to use his length, because he's at a disadvantage with his hands, use your feet, dude. Use those feet, keep him at length, and then
Whoa, use those feet. Talk about his length. This is an MMA podcast.
use your kicks and make sure you mix it up. Throw that grappling in there. Throw your wrestling in there that we all know is very, very, very good. If he goes in there and just tries to outbox him, he's going to lose. Without a doubt. It's a mixed martial arts fight. I think he's more well-rounded. I think that he might have more avenues to victory, but the one thing that Jan is better at, I think he's light years better at. Like, I think he's that much better of a kickboxer. But we will see. This is why they got to fight. I'm going to ride with Aljo. He's been hot. He's clearing out the division. He's beat better guys than Jan. That's not even a question. He's been in there with better guys than Jan, whether he's lost. So we'll see. I'm praying to God that he gets his hand raised because that would make a great start to 2021 in terms of championship fights, in my opinion.
Yeah, so here's my take on it. I'm rooting for Aljo through and through, 100,000,000% Aljo. Few things. I've been looking into Jan a lot lately. After watching have you guys watched like the Embeddeds and the Countdown show and all that? Yeah. Dude, the funniest thing, which I did not know, is Jan said at one point when he was in like middle school that there was 6 classes and there was 6 periods. And he said he used to fight him 6 times a day in between every single class. Dude, that is fucking wild. Russia is a wild, wild fucking place. But Petr Yan, 1 loss in his career. Who was it to? Magomedov. And there's about 17 Magomedovs, and all of them have fought for ACB at one point in their careers. Anyway, this is bantamweight Magomedov, and he's fucking good. He is a heavy grappler who is looking to grab your neck, pin you against the cage, the ring, whatever the fuck type of ring or octagon, whatever the fuck he's fighting in. He tries to push you up against it, and he's very, very grappling heavy. That's the only time Jan has ever lost. He lost a 5-round decision to him. And then they had a rematch, and Jan made all the right adjustments, fought off the grappling super well. And he took the rematch in a 5-round decision, went 5 rounds against him. And I think that that's going to be his key. I think a lot of things he learned there and worked on in that rematch are going to come heavy into play in this fight. I really do think that Jan's striking is super, super next level and super underrated, even by me, up until I looked into it so heavily. I know a lot of people online, a lot of like these quote unquote MMA insiders are so fucking high on Jan. My take, I tweeted yesterday and I got a 50-50 response, but again, it's probably some casual effect in there and fan bias as well. But I said, is Aljo about to win here and earn his long overdue title shot? Or is Jan about to go on a fucking legendary run at 135? Because if he beats Aljo and especially if it's emphatic, then you got like guys like Corey Sandhagen and if he beats him, like he really start racking up some significant stats. And after them, there's a little bit of a fall off, but then guys like Pedro Munoz could work their way back in. Cody Garbrandt, just on name fucking value, can work his way back in there. And I think Jan against Garbrandt would be bad. But we'll see. So I'm rooting for Aljo 100% as a fan. But with that Magomedov lesson that Jan learned, I think that's going to come into play big time here. Better strike. And the range is going to be very telling. I think the first round is going to be very telling. I want to see if and how Aljo can get those takedowns. If he can chain them together. And Aljo's got that cardio. He can go all day. He grapples those guys at Cerro Longo all day. So we'll see. Jan looked great in his last fight. He just went, more championship experience literally and physically. So we'll see, man. I think they both can go 5 rounds all day. So we're going to see where the range is at, because Aljo's going to be throwing those kicks, like Matt said, flicking them out there, big front kicks and trying to keep Jan at distance. And then when he does explode, we'll see how Jan reacts.
I will say this too. I really don't want a quick fight. I'm rooting for Aljo with all of my being. Don't want to see him win in the first round. I'd be happy. I want this to be a long fight. I want these guys to showcase everything they got, from talent to heart to grit, everything. I think I don't remember last time that I was this pumped for a title fight.
I wish this was the main event. I wish.
Yeah, me too. Fuck Blachowicz. I can't wait for him to get his head taken off.
Right. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Chris, you guys both brought up a lot of great points, so I'm not going to regurgitate it. But I just want to say 2 things. So, Chris, I kind of disagree with the gas tank with Aljo. He did seem to slow down in the third round in his past 3 fights. Not saying he lost those rounds. He 100% won those rounds.
Mhm.
But he didn't seem as fast or as much volume as he did in the first 2 rounds. And those are 3-round fights. And we know Jan turns it up as the fight goes on, especially in that 4th round. That with that 1-2 he landed on Aldo in that 4th round was lightning. And that was the beginning of the end. Number one. Number two, I think Aljamain's distance control is pretty fucking impeccable, dude. Like he's just able to hit you from so many angles with he sets up his punch with his kick. You know what I'm saying? Like who does that? But on the flip side, I was watching Sterling's last 3 fights yesterday. So it was Stamen, Munoz, and Rivera. And you guys want to know his takedowns for that fight, for those 3 fights? In Stamen fight, he landed 1 of 5. Munoz 0 for 4. Rivera 0 for 5. So I really don't think that Sterling is going to get this to the ground. He's saying things like, "Oh, I'm going to take him down 100 times. If he gets up 100 times, I'll get him on the 101st one." I really don't think that's going to be happen. I don't think he can keep that kind of pace for 5 rounds, and I know that Jan can. And on the feet, even though Aljamain's distance control is pretty fucking phenomenal, he still gets hit a lot, and Jan's punches hurt. We all know that, man. They sting. And Aljamain Sterling has a 0% knockdown rate in the UFC. He's knocked down 0 times. I just think that as the fight goes on, it's going to be in Jan's favor. I don't know if Aljamain's going to react to these hard punches from Jan, and I don't see it going to the ground. So I really do think Jan is going to take this emphatically. Good luck to both gentlemen. Like Matt said, I want it to go 5 rounds. I don't want to see a stoppage. I want to see a hard fought 5 rounds, and I'm fucking stoked for this fight more so than the next 2 we're about to talk about. Last thoughts? We good? Moving on to the co. Megan Anderson, the future champ, going up against the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. It's not a question of if, guys. It's a matter of when. How's Amanda winning this fight?
I think 1st round submission, maybe 2nd round. It's not going to last long. I think the only way Megan has a chance is she's got to do everything within her power to keep this fight standing. And I'm not just saying standing off the cage, dead center of the octagon. Let's kickbox. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to grapple. We're not going to clinch. None of that. The second it goes to the ground, it's over.
It's over. Matt, Chris, how's it ending?
Yeah, so the thing is, I also think that Amanda Nunes is going to win by submission. Who was it that submitted? It was Felicia Spencer, right? Submitted Megan Anderson in like no time at all. Amanda Nunes has legitimately been a world beater. Like has beat fucking everyone, cleared out the divisions. Her last fight was Felicia Spencer. You know, MMA math is always fucking right, so you know she's going to win. But obviously, I'm joking. If you're listening to this in audio, I'm fucking joking. But I think that 2 things. I think that 1, Durand to me did land some pretty good shots on Amanda Nunes in their fight. Amanda Nunes went for takedowns and just dominated. Got a 5-round decision, kind of boring. Then went 5 rounds with Felicia Spencer. So we know Nunes can go 5 rounds. We don't know if Megan Anderson can. She lost to people that, although MMA math is not always good, she lost the decision to Holly Holm. She beat Kat Zingano technically by like an eye poke. Kat Zingano did beat Amanda Nunes way back in the day, fun fact. But the way Megan, I don't know why the fuck I'm still talking about this. Amanda Nunes is going to win too. What I was basically trying to bring up is the fact that I think the line could be even wider. The 2 fucking talking points are that Megan Anderson is a legitimate 145-pound chick. Like she could fight at 155. She's fucking huge. She's going to be bigger than Amanda Nunes because 145 is her natural weight class. She couldn't make 135. So that's one talking point. The other talking point being that Amanda did get not hurt. I wouldn't say hurt by any means, but hit cleanly by Durandamy. And that's what Megan Anderson's going to be looking to do and use her size. And Megan's coming off a pretty emphatic win. So I think that with those things taken into consideration, the line almost tightens for those reasons. I think Amanda Nunes might be even bigger favorite than the line is showing, which is minus 1,200.
No, you're right. The only thing Megan's got going for her is that she hits really hard for 145. And she's a big girl, you know. I could see we've seen Amanda get gassed before when she was going for all those takedowns against GDR. But I mean, honestly, it sounds crazy, but plus 750 isn't enough. Like you said, Chris, it's not enough. I think it should be wider.
For who? It's
I
more
think
than enough for me to
Benanuno should be like a minus 2,000.
I'm calling this now. Clip this. Fucking clip this. Matt is going. Obviously, he's been doing this. He did it with Joanna. He's done it with John Jones. He did it with Mighty Mouse. He's bet against them 100 times. And then when they eventually lose, bro, I told you, dude. I knew it. I had that feeling.
He's right. I just keep betting. I gotta lose sooner or later.
It's literally like you're going down swinging or you're hitting a grand slam. There's no fucking in between.
Definitely betting on Anderson.
Great.
Main event. Jan Blachowicz defending his 205 pound belt against Israel Adesanya, coming up from 185 to take that strap, be the double champ. Guys, I think Izzy's gonna knock his ass out. What do you guys think?
Dude, what do you think is gonna happen? Nobody's better at distance control on the whole roster than Izzy. Blachowicz is 38 years old. I don't think he belongs here at all. I'm not trying to knock him at all. But let's be real. If he wins, this is the last bit of news that Dana needs this week to just push him off the end of the cliff. Between that and Chimaev, he's like, you know what? I'm done. Now I have to promote a 38-year-old from Poland.
You know what? I'm done.
Now I have to promote a 38-year-old dude from Poland that has two belts, that has two fans.
He won't have two belts. He won't have two belts.
Oh yeah, but the idea here is
two fans.
The idea here is to have Izzy holding two belts. You have the whole fucking Nigerian thing, which I think is pretty dope. You know, I'm serious. Between him and Usman, like you have three belt holders you'll have, and then the whole idea
potentially Ngannou.
The whole thing here is for him to win. He should win. There's nothing about Jan's game aside from his pure power in his hands that scares me off. And who has Izzy fought? Costa, Whitaker, like all these guys crack. Everybody at these weight class, they all crack. Who's better at who's the best at not getting hit? Except for the fight against Gastelum. Him. He's not going to get touched by him. It's going to be a first round knockout. He's going to do his dance, whatever he has this time, and we're going to move on. Next up, Izzy and John Jones. Let's do it.
So my take on this, right, is Blachowicz is clearly a 205er. Izzy's clearly not. Izzy's claiming he's coming at 193. I'm going to call a little bit of bullshit on that. I hope he proves me wrong. I think it'd be fucking sweet if he did come in at 203. That reminds me like Hendo when he was fighting at light heavyweight and he was weighing in at like 198. I thought that was fucking awesome. So dude, if he does weigh in at 193, even more props to him, because when he weighs in for middleweight fights, he weighs in at like 182, 183. So he's clearly making the weight, no problem. But I feel like he's cutting more than 8 pounds to make 185. I could be fucking wrong, but I think that might be a little bit of mental warfare going on there. Who the fuck knows? Jan is going to be like 220 walking into the fucking cage. You know what I mean? But Jan also has some suspect. He's been on a fucking tear lately, but he has some suspect fucking losses. The Taco Santos one isn't that suspect, but like Patrick Cummings, Gustafson at the time, I guess now in hindsight is more suspect. Jimmy Manawa, the Corey Anderson loss. You know what I mean? He's avenged that loss since. But anyway, Izzy's been fighting guys, and like my whole point and everyone's whole point is, he's moving up in weight. He's still such a big favorite, and he's fought guys like Matt said. Yoel Romero is literally now a light heavyweight, the size of a light heavyweight. Fucking Costa, I don't know how the fuck that guy makes 185 pounds. He's gigantic. He's bigger than a lot of light heavyweights. So he's in there fighting guys of that size, so he's pretty fucking used to that. I know he's been in kickboxing matches with heavyweights, boxing matches with heavyweights, so he's definitely felt that power before. The only thing that concerns me is those body kicks that were coming from Jan. Those were heavy on Dominic Reyes. They were taking their toll on Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes is a big dude. He could never make 185 pounds in his life. He's a big fucking guy, and those body kicks were the beginning of the end for him. Remember his ribs, how fucked up they look. That's all that's concerning me, is just the heaviness of Jan's strikes. But I really am not that concerned. I think Izzy's more than prepared. The UFC knows what the fuck they're doing. He's gonna be a double champ. Maybe entice John Jones to come down and take that from him, but I don't think so. I'm calling pussy on Izzy because I'm going to fight John Jones in 2021. I'm going to fight John Jones in 2021. I'm going to fight John Jones in 2021. Then he says he's not moving up after he beats Costa, says he has stuff to do. 2 days later, John Jones is moving up to heavyweight. 2 days after that, Izzy, I'm fucking fighting for the light heavyweight belt. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he don't want to fight Jones. He don't want to fight Jones.
I don't think so. Jones is about to fight fucking Ngannou or Stipe. He's not worried about Izzy, bro.
Do you imagine Ngannou flatlines like Overeem's John Jones? That'd be so sick.
That's it, guys. I mean, I just think that Chris, you brought up great points. Like if Jan can manage to get a takedown, shit would get interesting. But last time got a takedown. Like that's not really his game. He's all about the Polish power now, which he didn't really have before he went on that knockout spree. I don't know. I just think that's time. It's Jan becoming the champ was very fortunate in his favor. Like, don't get me wrong, he earned those wins. But I was never really high on Dominic Reyes. Wasn't really high on Luke Rockhold that one. Luke Rockhold going up to 205, and I wasn't really impressed with Corey Anderson. He hit the right people at the right time, and I just think that Izzy is that kind of striker that the UFC is like, hey, go get this double belt. We'll make you a superstar. You make us a lot of money. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, just a couple other things, fun facts I wanted to point out to you guys. Do you guys see what McGregor about Proper 12? Supposedly, like some whiskey company owns a minority share in the company. McGregor owns a majority share, and they're going to buy it out. So they said that potentially with this, like if the deal is like a superb deal and McGregor gets an unreal deal, everything said and done, and like if you got royalties and perpetuity, this could make him like a billionaire. Isn't that fucking wild? Like he's really about to sell Proper 12 for hundreds of millions of dollars. Like a billionaire would be a stretch, but he really is up there. Like he really is making that big of a fucking splash with the Proper 12.
People wonder, like, where's the old Conor McGregor? It's like, dude, this guy's not cleaning people's pipes anymore for $3 an hour. Like, what would you do? Come on,
dude. Literally. Also, a couple other fun things that I thought. Luke Rockhold and Michael Bisping being all chummy. You guys see those videos? That was pretty funny. Both training at the Ruka Sports Center. Thought that was awesome. What else was of note? There was one more thing I wanted to point out. Let me see.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
What?
Kazmat retiring.
Oh, that Matt touched on that before. It was I don't know what the fuck. And then Dana comes out and goes, no, he's not. He just had a bad day training on his first day back. He's not retiring. I promise.
You see all those.
Dan Hardy.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. No, you got it.
The crybabies saying Dana White's like a dictator for saying, oh, let the man retire. Let the man retire. I was like, listen, if Khamzat dedicated his life to becoming a mixed martial artist and he got COVID and he's feeling like shit and he made an emotional post, which let's be real, he's not going to give up on his life's dream because he's feeling a little sick.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like let Dana say what he's going to say because in all likelihood, it's true. He made an emotional post. Like, what the fuck?
People are fucking idiots, dude. Dan Hardy, the last thing, was supposed to fight Matt Brown. Not supposed to, but they were going back and forth. It looked like that fight was going to happen. I saw Matt Brown just got an opponent. And who the fuck was it? Oh, Diego Lima, I believe, is about to fight Matt Brown, which is, good for them. But now Dan Hardy calling out Nick. What?
We favor Matt Brown in that, actually. After we watch Bilal Muhammad walk down Diego Lima, Matt Brown's going to do the same thing with elbows.
Yeah, I agree. And now Dan Hardy's calling for Nick Diaz. I'm like, this is fucked, man. Like, I want to see Hardy come back, but like, dude, make it realistic.
Who would you rather come back, him or Nick?
Him. I don't want to see Nick Diaz, dude.
Yeah, I don't think Nick got it.
My heart can't handle that. Don't do that to me.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Hardy's 38. I don't really need to see him with a red mohawk at his age get put on his ass.
Him and Condit rematch would have been cool. But anyway, I think that's episode 53 in the books, boys.
That's it, everyone. Peace out. Enjoy the awesome fights this weekend. We don't get many of these per year, maybe another 2 before the 2021 closes out. So enjoy the fights, everybody. We'll see who gets and new, and we'll see who gets and still. Peace out.